Hey friend, and welcome back to RGD Gaming, the least toxic and most fun community in all of gaming. Today we got a very special show for you. We have a guest. He was a former semi-pro in a mobile called Vainglory, is the star of his own YouTube channel with thousands of subscribers, played some of the best Wild Rift players, and is a jungle extraordinaire. If you ever watch his videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've never actually played the same position as him, but I still watch all of his videos. YourDoomsday. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, of course, a star. Wow, make me blush a bit. But it's
I
not
know,
nice to
right?
learn all the positions, even if you don't play them.
Let's start out with your background. I bet a lot of people are curious about you. Tell us where you grew up, relevant job experience, and anything else you think other people might want to know. I know I'm definitely curious.
Yeah, of course. Um, I guess I grew up, I guess for all international people, I have no idea where people are watching from. That's the fun thing about YouTube is you could be from anywhere. But I grew up in US in Tennessee, if anybody knows where that is. I'm sure people in USA do, but yeah, pretty much lived here my entire life. And I am currently a sophomore in college. I would say I started my YouTube channel around sophomore-ish year of high school, and it's kind of just grown since then.
What was your first experience with MOBAs? When it was it when you started the channel or what was that like?
My first experience with MOBAs was actually like Vainglory when I first like downloaded it back like sophomore year of high school or maybe it was freshman year. But the main reason how I got into it was just because like I was at school with friends and we loved to play multiplayer games like on our phones and stuff because I mean that was convenient at school. You know, you got a couple minutes every here and there. So we played like any fun multiplayer games we could find, like Critical Ops, Bloons Tower Defense Battles, like Clash Royale. And one day we actually stumbled across Vainglory and we'd never played a MOBA before, so we definitely were very, very clueless as it is a very, very steep learning curve. So we would be put up against the bots. We would think they're real people and we would go like 7-1 and be like, oh my gosh, we're so good at this. Maybe we should play more of this. But
Right,
really we were kind
right.
of still learning, but that's where everybody starts, I'd say. But I guess if you want to know a little bit about when I started Vainglory and so, I started playing Vainglory when the 5v5 mode came out, so it's kind of actually after the peak of Vainglory. I started after the 3v3 peak World Champions, and I'd actually seen Vainglory before because I'd seen it on Twitch before because like the Worlds was huge the previous year before when like Tribe Gaming won with like DNZO, like
Oh,
Max
okay.
Screen and T Tigers. That was that I did like see clips of that, so like I thought the game was pretty cool, but that was kind of how I got started on it.
For somebody who doesn't know what Vainglory is, can you just give them a brief description of what it is?
It's kind of another 5v5 MOBA that it's I would say it's like League of Legends, like MOBA style, but the
Okay.
controls are very, very different, and that's what makes it special. Is it's these like touch tap controls. So you essentially would tap where you want your character to go on the screen, and your character would move there, and then you would just tap on the enemy to make it like attack the enemy, which is very, very different than like the joystick control that you're probably used to with like Wild Rift. And
Yeah.
I honestly really love the tap controls. I wish more games had them, but can't always get it, I guess.
I know I might be putting some words in your mouth, but at one point you were either going pro, semi pro, or at least headed in that direction with Vainglory. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I would say going pro maybe a bit of a stretch because I did join like Vainglory when like it was kind of on its downhill a little bit. So the pro scene was kind of dying off. So a lot of the old pros were kind of gone. So there were
Okay.
kind of people in like the tier below the pros that were like good, but not like as good as the old pros. But then there weren't big tournaments happening. So you didn't actively have like new teams forming, stuff like that. But there was still like a decent amount of like small tourneys going on that like a bunch of people still played in. So like I did find a group of friends that I ended up forming a team with, and a lot of those people actually like that I met back then, I'm still like really close friends with now, and like I still talk to them like even outside of Vainglory, even after Vainglory's gone, even though like we only barely play Wild Rift together, like they're people that I met that like I actually formed like lasting relationships with, I think.
Very cool. Did you guys have a coach when you played?
Yeah, we did. We would have like scrims and like we did have a coach and stuff for a while. Yeah, so we scrimmed a few times, or we scrimmed a lot actually, but we had some fun scrims. We scrimmed a lot of people that end up going to Wild Rift too. Like those are some of like the funnest scrims against like Tribe, you know, like Max Green, T Tigers, like old school DNZO, a lot of those
Yeah.
big names. Scrimmed against them a lot. They would destroy us every single time, but still always fun. They were definitely a tier above us. But it was still fun. It was especially fun like when you like because like I guess like us because I started off later than everybody. Like I at a certain point like I was like lower tier than everybody else because I mean I guess I was new to the cool concept of MOBA and everything. So it was very like satisfying being able to like slowly move up in the ranks and then eventually like being able to like face off against the people that you like watched and learned from. Because like I remember like I learned a lot from watching like Tribe, like their like 3v3 team with like T Tigers, Max Green, and D'Enzio. And then being
Yeah.
able to like work up to the point to where you get to like play against them and play with them is like very, very satisfying. It's a fun experience.
I can imagine that once you start hanging in there with the pros, it starts feeling really good that you're able to do that and play at that level.
I would like watch their videos to like learn how to play myself. So when I would go up against them, it's like, well, everything I learned is kind of from y'all. What do I do now?
Right,
They
right,
always
right.
they always had their own tricks up the sleeve that I think they kept to themselves. A little secret on how to always win.
Right. There must be something that they're holding back that they just don't tell us on their videos that they can use against us.
They're just built different. But I guess this
Right.
kind of like goes back a little bit to like tourneys and like you were talking about like the pro scene and stuff like that and like how I got into MOBAs. Um, I remember like one of like the first big tournaments we did, and like one of the first rounds or whatever, this match is actually on my channel. It was like West G, so like it was like the one like whoever won that tournament would like go on to like the world's version. I think I don't remember where I think it was in China later that year. Um, but I remember like in like the first or second round, I played top lane. So like the way that it worked is like the top lane, like Bruiser or whatever, would go against like the bottom lane, like ADC. It was a little bit different than like the way Wild Rift is. But
Right,
essentially, I
right.
remember going up. I remember the team that we were facing, they had like the best like solo queue ADC like in the game, probably like in solo queue, he was by far the best. He could hard carry pretty much any match. His win rate was absolutely insane. He probably wasn't the best like team player. Like that was probably to old school, I think. But in terms of solo queue, like he was really, really up there and he was like super skilled. But I remember before the first tournament, like I, of course was like a little bit nervous because I mean I'm going up against like one of like the best people in the game probably. And I
Right.
just remember something very specific that like our coach told us that like really, really like changed my perspective of MOBAs and like how I saw it. And it's that like at the start of every match in a MOBA, and this is what really like drew my appeal to the MOBA as compared to like maybe like Clash Royale or like Brawl Stars, where it's kind of a little bit like pay to win, is like everybody starts off with the exact same screen at the start of every match. So like you and the best player in the world at the start of every match, both of y'all's screens look the exact same. You can pick the same champions, you can buy the same items. It's about what you do in the match that like determines how good you are. And if they can do it, then I mean, I'm assuming they have some like crazy innate talent that you might not have, but to the most extent, you could do a lot of what they do just by learning. So that was kind of what drew my appeal to the game. Is I thought
Right.
like you could always improve yourself. It was never like, oh, like you have to go and buy this or do that, which a lot of mobile games are like that for sure. So that was really what I loved about MOBAs.
That's one of the appeals for me. Like I like to always be learning, and when I find something that I enjoy and I can constantly be learning, it's a perfect scenario for me. And I can totally relate to the nerves experience from a game standpoint, not from the professional level, but the first time like you see a master in the game, you're like, okay, who is it on the other team? And that just hits me.
But then it's
So
very
I
satisfying once you win, or if you win, I guess.
Right, and then once you can hang with them, that feels pretty good. But changing gears a little bit, if Wild Rift ever got their pro scene together, would you try to go pro?
That's a very good question, I think. And I guess like I was kind of on the borderline of that in like Vainglory, because I guess like when I was at the level to where like it was like semi-pro, I wouldn't necessarily like call it pro in Vainglory, but like I guess like semi-pro, I also like had my channel going a decent amount too. So I guess you could do both, but I think I more so took I think I enjoyed a lot being able to focus on my channel. So I cared more about that. And I think for Wild Rift, something that a lot of people like really underappreciate in like pro like esports kind of is like how much of like a time commitment, how much effort like the players put in. Like I know many teams they scrim like 2 to 3 times a week plus tournaments. Like I remember at the very start, this was about a year over a little bit over a year and a half ago. Like when I like first set like Grandmaster like a long time ago when like there wasn't like too many Grandmasters. Like actually was on a team with some like pretty decent people. Like uh Jotu, I think, a Kali player, like pretty decently known a Kali player, I think, if you watch any pro thing, and then like I forgot it's like Icer Bar or something like that. I don't know, but they were both like challenger level players, like some of the best at like some of their champions. But like I was on a team with them, and I remember like they would scrim like 2 to 3 times a week and then do like tournaments on like Tuesdays and such. And like it is a lot of time commitment. They do put in so much effort. So personally, I don't think I would do the pro esports scene. I think I enjoy making gameplay for people. I enjoy focusing on my channel. And I think I personally really love what I do with YouTube. So I'd probably stick to that more so.
Yeah, I mean that's totally understandable. What made you want to start a YouTube channel, or how'd that come about?
Oh yeah. So the YouTube channel actually had to do with it was just friends that I was like messing around with one day, like back in like 10th grade. I was in some like guild back in Vainglory with some friends, and one of them like was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and then they're like, you should do one too, and I'm like, I don't really know how, and they're like, I could show you. It really isn't that hard at all. So then I was like, sure, why not? I got nothing better to do today. I might as well give it a shot. And I guess like when I made it, I never thought that it would end up going anywhere, just because I was just a silly little kid in 10th grade. I mean, I didn't think it would blow up or something, but I was like, why not? Like maybe I'll enjoy it. And I was like, it'd be fun like posting something. So that was kind of how I got started. And then, I enjoyed it. I kept on going. I really enjoy like, I guess, teaching stuff to people, trying to like convey things in simple terms, seeing if other people can pick it up. And like, I guess like you asked like earlier about like other like jobs, like relevant jobs and stuff like that. I think that like my experience as like a YouTuber, like teaching gameplay, even though like it's very, very different, like I work as like a tutor in college, like a decent amount. I tutor for like a bunch of different subjects. I honestly
Okay.
think that like um my like experience learning how to like teach somebody like even something like as like simple as like a video game, I think being able to like convey an idea like how to do something is like it's very, very important in life, I think. And I think it definitely like helps me like not just in like Wild Rift YouTube, but also like explaining other things and just being able to like put things in terms that other people can understand. But that
Um,
was kind of how I got started with the channel. As for if you're wondering about why your Doomsday Zero, that came about when I first downloaded the game back in 9th grade. The new Batman versus Superman movie came out, the one that's supposed to be all the rage, and then it kind of flopped. And I went and watched it with a friend, and then we came back. And as I was saying, we love playing multiplayer games, so we downloaded Vainglory, and like that question, what's your username going to be, popped up, and we're just screwing around. So I ended up being like, oh, you're Doomsday0. We just watched the movie, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of made it with that. And then I kind of just stuck with it. And then like I made a YouTube channel. Again, I didn't think it would blow up, or not necessarily blow up. I guess like I'm not anything too big or anything, but I didn't think it would actually like go anywhere. But I was like, I might as well stick with it. Like that's not a bad name, I think.
right, right. I appreciate you being humble there. Quite frankly, to have thousands of subscribers is a ton of work and effort. So I don't think you're really, overstepping there. But I do want to change gears again. So, what do you think is the biggest issue Wild Rift has right now?
Uh, I think one of the biggest issue Wild Rift has, honestly speaking, is probably the community itself. I think is one of the biggest issues. I think a lot of the community has gotten stuck in like a negative mindset. Oh, Wild Rift is failing. Oh, it's dying. Oh, my teammates are so bad every single match, blah, blah, blah. But like I guess like as to my teammates are bad every single match, I guess like you can make the argument for like a lot of people. But like I think it goes back to like where like I said like every player starts off the game like the exact same, and there are players that like are skilled enough to like climb through Diamond Master and even Grandmaster themselves, like just solo queue, just based on their own skills. So like I think a lot of it is like learning to focus on yourself and not everything around you. Because I mean you can't really control exactly what your teammates do. Like they're gonna troll some matches, they're gonna be bad some matches, and like sure it can get frustrating, but I think one of the most like back when I like actively like wanted to climb higher and higher and higher, I guess like I mean I still want to climb, but like if you like take it to that extent where like you're just like stressing yourself out to do it, I think, and like you lose sight of that you're just trying to improve yourself and that you can't control what your teammates are going to do. But if you kind of change your mindset and like work to improve like as much as you can and kind of just forget like what your teammates are doing. I know it can be hard sometimes. Like even
Right.
now, like I mean, I get tilted too sometimes. I'm like, what are my teammates doing? Blah blah blah. But it happens. But I mean, I just think that a lot of the community needs to like change its mindset about the game. And like I think also like the toxicity in it is pretty bad. Because I mean, it's like I mean, for instance, I think like a good example is like I mean, I'm guilty of this too. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are, where like a match happens, somebody does bad, you downvote them, you add them, and you start trash talking them completely. But like, how
Don't
often
lie.
do like people actually like add them and have like a genuine like conversation, like, oh, what could you have done better? Or, oh, you did good that match. Just like something positive that like actually boosts the community instead of just dragging everybody down, I think. And I think that's kind of where also like a lot of the stigma about like League of Legends players, League of Legends toxicity, stuff like that comes from.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I start every single video with, the least toxic, most fun community in all of gaming, and I mean that.
I think like it's also like as a content creator, it's also like your job to be able, or like it's, I mean, you aren't obligated to, I guess, like it isn't like your job, but like I feel like you should want that community to be better. But I feel like a lot of content creators just bring like more toxicity to the table. And like I guess like as a content creator, like you are like influencing other people to like watch you. Like if you're gonna act like that, like other people are more so likely gonna think that it's okay to act like that. So I
Right.
think like you do have like in like you do like influence other people, and I think like you should try to influence them in a good way at least.
Yeah, I agree. It's the responsibility of creators in the space to help guide it in a positive way. If I could magically wave a wand or change one thing about Wild Rift, it would be removing the toxicity. The most frustrated I become is when someone flames, goes AFK, or runs it down. I don't mind if somebody makes bad plays. I'm the king of bad plays. If anybody watches my videos, you'll see it happen. It happens to everybody. So, making Wild Rift a more fun, positive experience is one of my passions and one of the driving forces behind my YouTube channel.
That's
You
something
know,
that a lot of people forget too, is like sometimes you're the one that's like making the mistake too. And I guess like you don't want to like everybody like raining down all their like trash talking onto you at once. Like I find it so much better. Like if I realize I'm doing like poorly in a match, like I would much rather have teammates that are like supportive and like like not like positive, I guess, because I mean it can be hard to be positive if your teammates are like doing pretty poorly. But I mean, just like let's try and get this team fight together. Let's try and stick together. Like something other than you're complete trash, running down mid already.
the best case scenario with flaming is nothing. There's literally no upside. Nobody's going like, "Oh yeah, that's a great point that they're making." Like I'm
I feel
so
like it
terrible.
tilts
I should.
yourself too, because I mean, like you're just like getting more in that mindset, like screw this player, they're so trash, and then you're just gonna make yourself more frustrated too in the process.
Another thing I hate about flaming is you're always flaming somebody at the same rank. Like, so unless you're challenger, the person probably isn't that much worse than you, if at all. And so that would be the thing that I would change is the toxicity. It ruins games. It's, one of the big reasons I stop playing. If I get tilted, I'll stop. The game is meant to be fun. And so if I'm not having fun or I'm getting mad at it, then I just quit. So, you know, first, let's think about this. There's other people, so why are we going to treat them like that? And second, everybody makes bad plays. So we don't need to do that to each other.
A lot of
Um,
people also forget that like the game is meant to be fun, and like the point of video games is so you enjoy. Like sure, climbing ranks, like winning is like I guess it adds to the fun. Like it is nice to win. It's nice to climb ranks, but like at the same time you have to realize like if you lose like just because of bad teammates or something like that, like it happens sometimes, but you shouldn't try to like make that like the entire theme of the game because that's not what a game is supposed to be about.
and I think that rather than focusing on the other people in the match, we should be focusing on ourselves, and we'd all climb so much faster. I've climbed as a solo queue ADC, and what I do is I look at my videos and try to figure out how I can improve, not look at what my teammates did wrong.
Oh yeah, that's why like even in Grandmaster, like if I lose due to bad teammates, like I know I shouldn't be the one to complain because I know there are people that have climbed through all of Grandmaster to Challenger by themselves with like over 60% win rates. Like, and that's not
Right.
by luck. Like you don't climb that far with the 60,
No.
like 65% win rate solo queue, like by chance. Like you're doing something that you can learn. But I think like actually how you said like looking at videos and stuff, I think that's actually like I think that's a very, very good point because I feel like my gameplay actually improved a lot since I started making YouTube. Because like I would go back, I would force me to watch my own videos and look at the mistakes that I made and like be like, oh, why did I even do that? And actually look back at
Right.
my gameplay and like improve. And they really do
Yeah.
help get a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Even games I think are good enough to post, you'll hear me on the video, and I'm like, oh, that was a terrible play.
They
Yeah,
were
you'll
like,
you'll hear
oh,
me in
I'm
my
way off
videos
the
too,
grid.
being like, why did I do that? I don't really
Yeah.
know why. It's like, oh,
I'll,
I hope I don't do that. I hope I don't do that. Oh, I'm doing it. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Like, hopefully I don't overstep, and I overstepped, and I'm dead. Just going back over my videos, my average win rate last season was 51%. I started doing it this season, and now I peaked at 54% win rate in Grandmaster. And so I think people should take the time to watch their games and just try to figure out what they did wrong. But, the last thing here, I guess, is there anything else before we wrap up that you want to say about MOBAs or the community or really anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap up here?
I'd say overall, I think MOBAs are one of the best games out there. Maybe a little bit biased, but I really love them. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they do get you thinking a lot. There's very high skill ceilings. There's always a lot to learn. You could always improve yourself, and that's also fun to be able to like get to actually meet new people. Get to actually interact with people with like a community. And that's one thing that I like really, really like love about video games. I think like a lot of people like don't understand is some like some people that I would consider like I'm pretty good friends with that like I like Snapchat them like every single day. I'll like text them too, or like just people that I've like played games with for a very, very long time, even though I've like never met them. And like I feel like I've like made a lot of like nice personal relationships through games. And I think like that's one of my favorite parts about it is like there's gonna be people like even though we never like physically have like interacted with each other, like you could still form good relationships, like meeting people online, I think. It's one of my favorite parts.
I agree with that too. I have a friend from Discord that lives in an entirely different state. I've never met him in real life, but we talk almost every day just about life, random things, and just whatever we want to chat about that day.
Honestly though,
um,
like that's one thing that I noticed too is like talking to people over like that you've never met before, people will like share a lot just because like I feel like there is not very much judgment about like somebody you've never met before. Like you don't have to be scared about them like judging you or stuff like that. So
right.
there's like things that I'll like tell people on Discord that like I probably haven't even told people that like I live around or like some of my close friends like nearby even. But if you have
Right.
any other questions for me,
No, that was everything I had to ask. I appreciate your time, being in college, having a channel. I'll give you another opportunity if there's anything else you want to talk about. I'm sure people will be interested in anything you had to say.
I'd say on another note too, like one of the things that I've like seen is like in my Discord, like there's like a handful of people that are like pretty active in there, and like I've like seeing like even though like I don't say like too much or interact too much, I like seeing people's like progression. Like I remember when some of the people in there were like Emerald Plat level, and now like everybody's climbing up to like Masters, Grandmasters. It's very nice to see. I think to see other people get better makes me get a little smile on my face.
Not to tout Discord servers too much, we both have them, but I feel like the people in there who are actually trying to learn and grow and talking about how to get better, they actually do. It's that hive mind effect where two people are together are more than twice as smart than two individuals, if that makes any sense.
Like that was how I learned so much about MOBAs because like I guess like I started MOBAs like kind of late. Like I started pretty late into like Vainglory, so like everybody already knew what they were doing. But like Discord was always a place where you can go into and you could ask like any question and somebody will answer eventually, like at some point. And like it could be the most silly question, but if you don't know it, then like it can't even hurt to ask, and like you learn a lot from that. People can give good reasonings, they can help to explain stuff. So that was where
Right.
honestly where I learned so much from. That and other watching other content creators, that was how I improved the most for sure.
All right, Doom, thank you so much for doing this. It was an honor to have an opportunity to talk with you, especially after watching your videos for all those years. Um, you know what I think might be fun if we came back in a year or two to do another interview and see where we were both at then.
There we go. That'll be fun for sure.
Thanks again. Have a good night.
Yep. Thank you so much.
If you got anything out of this video, be sure to like and comment that you did. And then make sure to go check out Doom's channel. I'll put a link in the description below and watch some of his videos. He has some of the best jungle content out there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I see you on the Rift. GG.